It's time to take a look at some mountain bike myths, some things that have or have never been true. Neil, you ready for this?
Hit me.
Right, let's go. Okay, first up, first myth. Riding a hardtail will give you better technique. Neil, true or false?
Well, actually, that's true, mine, to some degree. You
Okay.
don't think so?
I don't know, go on, make your argument.
I guess I'm from the old school where if riders of my age, with my pockets when I was a youth, you couldn't afford a full suspension bike. So you had to ride a hardtail. And I think it really does teach you to be smooth and to be in control and fast. Maybe nowadays you can get really decent, cheaper full suspension bikes. So a lot of people don't necessarily start in a hardtail now, but I think they do teach you good techniques. You can't get away with being a rough and horrible rider.
Okay, well, I don't know if I agree with that, okay, because I think you learn the technique on the bike you're on, okay? So I tend to think thinking about learning better technique on a hardtail or a full suspension doesn't really matter because it's just relative to what you're riding. So if you ride a hardtail, you cannot learn good full suspension technique and vice versa.
I suppose.
So I feel like it's kind of counterintuitive, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I get your argument, but I feel like if you've got the budget to buy a full sus bike, you will, and you don't need to ever think about a hardtail or the technique it would teach you. And if you're riding a hardtail and you do have the budget, you must just like hardtails.
Yeah, I get it.
Something like that. I guess we're kind of on the fence on this first myth, which I like. So let us know in the comments down below through the video which myth you do or do not agree with. It's fine to have a bit of an argument as long as we keep it fun. Okay, next myth.
Trail centres aren't real mountain biking.
Oh, that is a myth because trail centres are brilliant mountain biking, Neil. I love a trail centre. Local to me, Bike Park Wales, I think it's a fabulous place to just hang out, let alone have fabulous uplift and tracks to ride. They're brilliant. Do you agree with that?
Sort of.
Oh, I like how this is
For me, my version of real mountain biking is not that. It's getting out into the wilds. Maybe not wilds, but you know, into the woods where it's all about the single track, the tech, the gnarliness, the shredding. Somewhere like Squamish, I rode there. That was one of my dream places to ride. And it's not all about the convenient parking, the bacon roll at the end, the coffee. It's about the gnarly riding, not about the experience.
That bacon roll, O'Neill. I tell you what, Whistler's a really good example because it is the greatest bike park I think you could ever imagine. And then outside of it is arguably better mountain bike riding. But the one thing you don't get when you're out on your own in Squamish in a wood and there's no one for 100 miles, right, is the community, the camaraderie, the fun, and that bacon roll, Neil. I think it's a myth. Bike parks is real mountain biking. Let us know what you think. Is this a myth? Clips are essential. I mean, they make your pedal stroke way more efficient, Neil. You're more connected to the bike. I mean, you can't live without them. Myth or not?
That is a myth, for sure. Everyone knows that.
Really?
Go to your bike park, which isn't proper mountain biking, and you'll see loads of people wearing flat pedals. And actually, you know, I rode 15 years on flat pedals, race forever. Sam Hill.
Yeah,
Remember that guy?
I mean, if you need any more proof, then Sam Hill's probably proof that you can ride without.
There he is, Sam Hill.
Can ride without clips. He's just emailed in saying it's definitely a myth. I would say, coming from a trials background, I never rode clips. Yeah. So I've learned all my riding technique, whatever it would have been, without that kind of advantage. But I mean, what would you say positive for clips? I mean, you must have ridden clips since your racing career.
Actually, look, when I raced down, I looked at some pros, thought, I wish I could do that. They look so good, the way they can really move the bike around with their feet. So I tried them once and hated them. Now I actually do really like them, and I switch between the two. Pedaling efficiency, like you said, but also that really fine rear wheel control where you can move it around. but I kind of enjoy riding flats more, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I love a flat pedal. This is maybe a difficult question, but is it more scary to be a clips rider coming to flats or a flat rider going to clips?
Oh, that's a good question, because I've seen it both ways.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, that's definitely another one to get involved with in the comments down below. Clip pedals, are you, aren't you? Here's one connected to that. Bunnyhops don't count if you're wearing clips.
Well,
Now, is that true?
to some degree, I'd say, because from my coaching days, you'd see lots of people that got into the bad habits and then they would find it really hard to do proper jumps. And I know where you're going to go with this, because it is all about timing and they would just pull the bike into the air. If they'd learnt them with flats, then they couldn't have done that in the first place.
Yes.
So I would say it can stop some people from being good at some things, but
Yeah.
it's not necessarily that they don't count.
I mean, I think a bunny hop counts when you can use it on the trail. So if you have learnt the timing and you can pick the wheels up at the right moment and put them down in the right place, it doesn't really matter what shoe and pedal you're using, it counts. That's my argument. I get what you're saying though. You could maybe make an argument that you can learn badly in clips.
Yeah.
So yeah, but let us know, what do you think about clips? You need to spend big to get a good mountain bike. Well, Neil, sitting there as someone who's got, what, an £11,000 e-bike in his garage, what do you think of this one? Do you need to spend big to get a really great mountain bike?
I think when you're talking that amount of money, like I do have that bike that's worth a lot of money. You get like, X performance, you get the best carbon layout, you get these things, which is great, and I love it. I love that style of bike, but I think we've proven a lot of times that you don't need to, on this channel, that you don't need to do that. We've done videos with £300 bikes, that £500 downhill bike that I rode and loved. So you can buy secondhand bikes for really cheap. Again, I go back to my old days, you had to spend big money, and it was £3,000 in 25 years ago to get a really good bike, because they were so much better than cheap bikes. Now, the range has got bigger. You can spend less and have a great bike, and you can spend more at the top end. So you don't.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I would look at it this way, is that if you haven't got thousands of pounds in your bank to buy a mountain bike, don't let that be the barrier that you don't mountain bike. Because you could spend £300 or $500 on a mountain bike now. It would be as good as the very best mountain bike in the 1990s at the time when mountain biking was the fastest growing sport in the world, and basically because of the incredible bikes people had never discovered before. So don't let budget stop you from getting out on the trails. We've got Neil on the table and we're talking about whether you need helmets and elbow pads and knee pads. There's your advert. He literally can't remember his cup of coffee he just had.
You know what? I've started wearing my padded shorts again recently.
Oh, wow, it's getting worse.
Because I fell off and exploded that thigh, and then recently I fell off and landed right on my hip, and that was 3 weeks ago now, and I'm still bloody sore.
Yeah, I mean, it don't look cool at being out on a mountain bike without pads on these days. The top riders wear pads. They're not wearing them because they're sponsored. They're wearing them because they need the protection. But guess what? Rocks and trees are just as hard for you. Put your knee pads on, put your elbow pads on, wear gloves, wear helmets, and don't ride as fast as him.
Don't fall off as much. You're too old to mountain bike.
No, Neil, it says you're too old to mountain bike. It's not a statement. Okay, here's my argument here. You're definitely not too old to mountain bike because technology has changed. We mentioned that very, very expensive e-bike that Neil's got. Well, because of these incredible bikes, you can mountain bike now into your 90s.
Don't have to be an e-bike. Actually, I met a family last week at Bike Park Wales of a grown-up son, must be in his 20s, and his mum. They're out riding. They've ridden mountain bikes together. I was amazed.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have liked to guess the lady's age, so I shouldn't. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, you've got
to see people of a certain vintage all the time riding mountain bikes. And I guess the sport has got older. The people that did it 30 years ago are still doing it, and it's brilliant to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's really true that there was a point where mountain biking had a very specific age range, usually from an age where you were big enough to get on a 26-inch wheel bike, and then you'd grow out of it in your mid-30s. But the bikes are so great now. The trail centres, which is real mountain biking, are brilliant, and there's no reason to stop. equally, you're too young to mountain bike. Not anymore.
Too young. No, the bikes, well, I'm sort of feeling the brunt of this because now I've got some youngsters. The bikes are amazing. They're a bit, they're not cheap, but you can buy some brilliant kids' bikes, 20-inch wheel, actually smaller. I've got 14, 16. The range of kids' bikes is amazing. You don't have to spend loads of money because they actually start off pretty simple with the balance bikes and then just single speeds or whatever. But my youngsters now, especially my 6-year-old, is getting into proper mountain biking. And I didn't start mountain biking until I was 15.
Yeah, it's crazy because you had to be big enough at one point. But these days, even the balance bikes are styled like mountain bikes. So it brings people into the sport at that very early age and they're understanding just basically the culture of mountain biking right from the very outset. It's all knobbly tyres, it's all mountain bike look, and you can come in at that early age and basically never stop. It's fantastic. It's the never-ending sport.
Do you have to get an e-mountain bike when you're above a certain age? You don't have to, but I think, I don't know, we'll see. I'm 41 now. You know, at some point I'll probably think, actually, I'm better off having one of them all the time than riding a mountain bike. Who knows? We'll see. Let us know, comments. If you've got to a certain age and you think, actually, I'm going to get rid of that and I'm just going to have an e-bike and that'll be my future.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 48, Neil, so I ain't got long because all I've got is an e-bike. Well, yeah, like Neil said, get involved in the comments. Make sure you give this video a like. Make sure you subscribe to GMBN. And we're looking forward to hearing what you've got to say about these myths. Are they, aren't they? Or have you got any we haven't mentioned? But for now, it's goodbye from us.